Hello, everyone. Hi, thank you for joining today's live. Hello. I'm still thinking of new introductions to use every single time I do a live. I'm stuck. I'm just stuck. So, yeah, today it's a very specific topic that I'm going to talk about today. It's just specifically about writing an article and what makes this live different from any other resources that you may see about how to write an article. The difference is that I'm going to tell you a way that makes your article something that can be approved instantly. So I get these messages so many times from writers saying that, the client said they're not happy, the client said they don't like what we've written, they said change it, change that. So why does that happen? Why is the entire problem coming up? I'll explain that. I'll explain how I came up with a method that solves everything. I'll explain the method to you. You can use that method. You can completely steal that method, make it yours, and use it in your own way. And I'm certain that this one method will extend like even beyond articles. It'll help you in basically every single thing that you do when it comes to writing or creating content or designing, things like that. So I want to focus on how you can get a good brief from the client, because of course the brief matters. Once you have good correct details, that's when you can create good content, because then you know exactly what you're working with. And then I want to talk about my method of how I make sure that the article is exactly what the client wants. And then the final thing is how, like, of course there can still be some minor changes here and there. So in that case, how do you get how do you get feedback from client? That's something that you can actually use. That's something that you can actually work on, actually work with, and not have to question yourself again and again. So I'm going to talk about all of that in the next 20 minutes. And before I start with that, I just want to say that if you don't know yet, I have an ebook coming out very soon. It'll be up for pre-order. I've been saying this for a while, but it's finally coming together and it'll be up for pre-order soon. So if if you want to access all my content tips and whatever suggestions I have, whatever things I've shared over the years, and if you want to know those, if you want to learn from those, and if you want to get some other exclusive content from my site, then you should definitely consider getting that book. So yeah, now that promo is done, so let's begin with the main session. So the first thing is, when you're writing an article, of course you need to get a good brief, because I know that so many people who message me saying that the client said that this was wrong, and I asked them, like, what was wrong, like, did you get a specific thing? They're like, no, the client said the whole thing was wrong, this is not what they wanted at all. And these will be articles which are like 500 words, 1000 words, 2000 words. And then imagine writing those many words, filling up 5, 6, 7 documents, and then for the client to tell you that that's not what they wanted in the first place. So this problem first arises from not knowing what the client expected, what the client wanted. So the first thing to do is get a very, very good, clear, approved brief from the client. What I mean by this is, you should get all the details you can about the article. The basics include, of course, like the word count, the topic, what is the purpose of the article, where will it be published, what's the kind of tone the article should have. All those kind of things are important. Other than that, the next thing that's important is to get some guidelines on writing your articles. When I talk about guidelines, I mean things like, some companies have this very strict policy of how they want their tone to be, how they want their voice to be, how they want, if they're not comfortable using certain kind of language, certain kind of words. So get all of that cleared and clarified, and ask them if they need any certain keywords to be included. Ask them to give the keywords if that's not included in your scope of work. If there are keywords needed, ask them how many times do they need it to be used. Do they need to put backlinks? Are you supposed to be giving them backlinks? Are you supposed to be giving them links to images? All those things have to be clarified in your brief. So basically, your brief consists of two main things. First is just the article itself in terms of, the word count and the topic and the purpose, where will it be published, things like that. And the second part of it is more of a guidelines part. If there's something you need to do specifically for this particular article, and that would be things like, keywords, and if you need to include backlinks, image links, things like that. So get clarity. And when I just said 2 minutes back that it has to be approved, what I mean by this is every time you get a brief, put all the brief that you've received, put it all in writing, send it across as an email, as a WhatsApp text, as a document, whatever you prefer. Send it across, get it approved that yes, this is the brief we shared with you, this is exactly what I meant, and then continue with it. Again, this is important because some things are lost in communication. Some things may have misunderstanding. So you need to get these things clear and you need to get these approved in writing so that they cannot be disputed later. So the first thing is get a very clear brief, because that's where it starts. It starts from understanding exactly what your client is looking for and understanding exactly what you need to do to give the client what they're looking for. So first is brief. The second thing I want to talk about is the process itself. What process do I use to create content that gets approved and that does not require more than maximum, say, one edit from the client? So how that happened was, I just want to share how I got into the process, how I created this method for myself, and why I did it. So around I think over a year ago, when I was still pretty new to freelancing, still figuring things out, wasn't comfortable with, hadn't worked a lot, wasn't comfortable with how to get proper briefs or how to work properly. So what there was this one particular client that I was working with, and I was supposed to write a 1,000-word article on a particular topic. So I wrote the article, I sent it across, and then the client said that this is not good, and that he was expecting something entirely different. So I rewrote it and I resent it, and he said this was better. So he added some more points to each, and then he said that these also need to be included. Now what happened is, now I was supposed to write a 1,000-word article, but with his inputs, all the revisions and everything, it ended up being a 1,500-word article. So I again approached the client and I said that now we had discussed for a 1,000-word article, but it's come up to 1,500. So that will be charged extra. So he said, no, I do not want a 1,500-word article. I still want it to be 1,000. How you make it 1,000 is your decision. How you do it is up to you. But I need the points to be included that I shared with you. And this led to a lot of confusion. There was a lot of back and forth. The word count was not met and everything was an issue. I ended up writing a very long article and I wasn't happy with the article. The client wasn't really convinced with how it was written. There was a lot of back and forth involved. And at the end of the day, it was not a good experience for either of us. And I just thought about it and, I just thought that actually this is something that's happening with a few other people as well. Not in the sense that it's completely wrong all the time, but, getting edits and writing certain paragraphs completely wrong and completely different from what the clients actually wanted. So I knew I had to do something. And I knew that I couldn't do this thing where I keep, editing the article again and again just because of some misunderstanding or miscommunication or lack of communication before starting the work. So I kind of, pinpointed to one particular aspect, one particular process, one particular part of the process or step of the process where this problem was beginning or where this problem could have been stopped. And I realized that this problem could have been completely stopped if the client knew what I was writing about. If I could just tell the client that, this is what I'm going to include in the article. Does this work for you? And if the client said, yes, this is what I want, then I can write the article. And then I was like, how do I do that? How do I give everything across? How do I explain everything that I want to include in the article without actually writing the article? And that's when I came up with this beautiful concept of an outline. So I have spoken about this again and again. It's a very simple thing, and you may think like, what really did we really watch this live to, watch this method of writing an outline? But yes, you did, because writing an outline has helped me basically submit every single article that I've written so far flawlessly. Like ever since that client, which was I think 1.5, 2 years, some time ago, and ever since then I have never had to make more than one edit for any article. And even if there was one edit, it was either because something was something had to be like minor changes, so not complete overhaul of the article. So definitely this process works. So let me give you an idea of how I write the outline. So basically take the example of this live, So when I put out a post of any live, I always share the top 3 things that I'm going to talk about in the post, in the live. I always share in my stories exactly what I'm going to talk about in the live, how I'm going to address the topic, how basically you just by reading that, you understand what's included in the live and whether you want to watch it or not, whether it's going to be helpful to you or not. So again, that was the concept of an outline. I told you that in today's live, I'm going to be talking about 3 main things. I'm going to talk about how to get a good brief. I'm going to talk about how what method I use to get like instant approvable articles, and how I get actionable feedback from clients. So I gave you a complete outline of exactly what I'm going to do. And then you decided whether this was okay for you or it wasn't okay for you. If it was okay and you liked it, you join. If it wasn't, then maybe you're not here. Then this conversation drops. So the only difference is when I am giving you an outline, it's just a structure of what I'm definitely going to talk about. But when it comes to sharing an outline with a client, it is a communication, it's a process, and it's something that they are supposed to give feedback on. Never, ever, ever just send the outline, assume it has been approved and start writing. Always get approval from the client before you start writing. So if I was supposed writing a post on, 3 ways to get approved, get your article approved by your client instantly. So I would again use those 3 points that I had written in my story that I'm going to speak about. These 3 points I'm going to write down those 3 points. And then for each of the points, I'm going to put 2 or 3 bullets. So suppose I write intro, and then I'm going to put 2-3 bullets of what I'm going to include in the intro. Then I'm going to put the main 1, 2, 3 points. Each point will have a few bullet points as to what's going to be inside those subheadings, and then in the conclusion, what's going to be the conclusion, and then the CTA, what's the ultimate CTA. And in the same outline page, I also include the brief on the top. So the brief has things like word count, date of submission, number of edits provided, and any keywords to be used, hyperlinks, things like that, backlinks, things like that. So that's how I how I make sure that I'm doing what the client needs me to do for this article. So basically, what's my 3-step process? Quickly to tell you, the first step of this process is to create an outline. So I create a detailed outline. The second step is to send it to the client and get the feedback. So if the client says, okay, this is good, then it's done, it's sorted. If the client makes any changes, make those changes, accept those changes, and then send the outline again for review. So if your client is approaching you and if your client is giving you changes for whatever outline you've created, if there are changes and if they are significant, if they are not just a few things here and there or deleting the points or something, if it's significant, again make sure you get it approved. Accept the feedback, revise it as per your thoughts, and get it approved again. And finally, the third step is to write. So first, create an outline. Second, send it, get feedback. And third, start writing. Now what this does is this eliminates the entire confusion of what are you supposed to do. You have a clear-cut vision of exactly what's needed. Of course, there's research required even in creating the outline. And the most, the thing that you really need to keep in mind is don't be lazy with the outline. Just because it's bullet points, just because it's something that's giving an idea, make it very precise. If you make it vague and if you make it broad, if you just write in this article, I'm going to say 3 benefits of using a Tupperware bottle. And if you just write 3 benefits and you don't explain what those benefits are and you don't explain exactly what you're going to include, then you're not helping anybody, because maybe the client was not looking for those 3 benefits. He or she was looking for something else. So do your hard work, all your hard work in the outline, and this will save you a lot of time. And I promise you, this will make it so much easier for you to even write your article. Because once you have the structure, you know that you don't have to change anything else. You just have to kind of make sense of whatever outline you've sent. So I mean, now when I write an article, honestly, the reason I can end up with a 500-word article in say 30-35 minutes is because when I send an outline, it's so clear. The only thing I need to do is frame sentences. And I have already done the background work. I've already done the research and, completed and gotten confirmation on everything. So now it's only about stringing these words together. So do this. It'll save your time. It'll help you improve your relationship with your client. And it will make your client's life easier as well. So just give this outline method a shot. And but things happen. I mean, even though you may have written well, of course, some things get missed out sometimes, and maybe the sentence is not correctly portrayed. Maybe the message does not come across clearly. So all these things can be issues. So there maybe one additional round of edit that may be required. So what you do in this is I just have a few thoughts that I want to share on how you get good feedback from the client, which actually makes sense. Because sometimes what happens is, you get the feedback and then the feedback is like, I don't like the article. And then you're like, okay, what do I change? And then you're like, no, I just don't like the way it's written. No, what do I change? I just don't like the way it's written. I don't know what you need to change, but I don't like it. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work for writers. It doesn't work for anybody, because you don't know what you're supposed to change. You don't know exactly what it is. Is it the way? Is it the even if you say writing style, it has to be specific. Is it the tone it's written in? Is it the voice? Is it the kind of vocabulary used? Is it the way it's structured? What is the issue? You have to be clear. So a few suggestions for this are, firstly, when you send the contract, make sure you get it in written and you get it approved in writing, that you will need very specific, precise feedback. So this should just be like a normal thing in your contract or in your formal approval, that whatever feedback the client gives you has to be something that's specific and actionable. So that's just a requirement. So the client cannot dispute that. That's one thing. Second thing is, make it easier for the client. So work on something like Google Docs or Google Sheets. Preferably if it's an article, work on Google Docs. What this does is, it allows the client to directly highlight the text and add comments specifically to each word, each line, each full stop, each comma. So the client can select that bit of text and say, I need the reference for this. This does not seem right. This is not what we do. Please check please proofread this part. So things like that. Again, it becomes very specific. It's very easy for the client to work with. It's very easy for you. And then you can also, there won't be any back and forth. If you make the edits, you can just message the client and the edits will be visible in the doc itself. One tip here, do not ever edit live in front of the client. Edit in a different doc and then copy paste it if possible to the doc that you've shared with the client. Because this gives clear, boundaries, and this allows you to not ever show how much time you spent in editing it, because sometimes this becomes an issue. Because, somebody may take 1 hour to edit something, but somebody may just take 2 minutes. Honestly, take 2 minutes. So it's best to kind of keep that a secret, because in Google Docs you can track all the changes and the time and things like that. So be careful of that. And the third thing is to ask questions. If you have not gotten any clear specific feedback, or if you have gotten the feedback but you're not sure, if there's a comment but you don't really understand what it means, ask your client, ask them, because they want to help you, they want to make it easier for you, because they know that if they keep making it difficult for you, then they themselves need to spend more time with you trying to get the perfect piece of work that they wanted. So never be afraid of asking your client for clarification when it's something that's concerning for you. So you can do that over a call, you can do that over a text, whatever suits you best. And yeah, that's about it. That's how you can get actionable tips, because again, being vague is easy for you while creating an outline. Being vague is easy for a client while giving you feedback. But what it's going to do is that ease is going to create a lot of chaos. It's going to create a lot of pressure and a lot of wastage of time. So don't do that. Just put an effort where it needs to be. Put an effort in creating the outline. Put an effort in communicating with your client and getting the proper feedback. If you want to learn about communication, you can check out my IGTV. It's all about communicating with the client. Check that out. And just keep your client involved in the entire process, right? From outline to sending, to getting feedback, to sending the final version. Always keep them involved, and that works out really well. So this is how I actually create every single piece of content that you can think of, right? From social media posts, articles, and anything else that I create always has an outline going on. It always has that. I even do this for my essays. Of course, in that case, I don't have somebody who can go and approve it, but I do it for myself. I have an outline because it helps me structure my content better. It helps me write my essays better for college and just, stay focused and stick to the topic. So, I know I've spoken about outline before, but I hope that this gives you more insights on actually how to create an outline and how to communicate and how to use it and how to make the most of it, and finally how to, use it to get more mental stability and more time for yourself. So that's all there is for creating an outline. Now, if you have any questions about writing articles, creating outline, getting feedback on articles, things like that, just drop them in the question tab or in the comment below, and I will answer those. And I will also just quickly give you a brief of what I shared in this live. So I shared that the first thing is that you need to get a good brief from the client, which means asking a lot of questions, which means getting the basics, topic, word count, things like that, getting any other guidelines as to what is needed specifically for that article, get those as well. Second is, I shared my process of writing. It is creating an outline, getting feedback from the client, revising the outline, and then finally writing the article. And the third thing I shared was how to get actionable feedback. And the first thing is to include it in your contract that the feedback must be very specific. Second thing is to yourself make it easier for the client by sending a Google Doc and asking them to comment where required. And third is to ask a lot of questions, because it's good. It's just good to have have clarity from your side. So that's helpful. So yes, that's all there is, and it's actually so simple. And I hope you use this. And if you use this, please do message me, tell me how it worked out, because honestly, in the past, at least in the past 1.5 years, I don't remember giving any client more than one edit. Maybe when I started working with them, the first edit was a bit bigger, but after that, once you get used to the client, also it goes down, and then eventually it should actually be 0 edits, because when the client is working with you long term, they also they want to save time, they want to reduce their effort, they want you to understand them, and that's also how you build long-term relationships. So keep continuing with this outline, never drop it. I did that recently. I have already written like 25 articles for the client, and then that one article I didn't send an outline. I don't know why, and then it was a mess. So don't stop sending outlines. Keep doing that long term, but just make it easier for your client also to work with you. Having said that, now let's get to some questions. Okay, so first I'm going to answer the ones that were in the question tab, which were asked from the story earlier. Shreya is asking, best way to research articles. I just do a Google search. Honestly, I don't even get why it's such a big question of doing research, because everything is one Google search away. I think everybody unnecessarily complicates things by calling it research and hours of research. You don't need to do that anymore. Everything is right out there. You have an outline. You have a client who's available for you. If you need something, you ask them, you clarify with them, you get details from them, and that's how you work on it. So don't complicate things when they shouldn't be. What if the client asks for a sample? How to go about it? Shreya, how many Shreyas are there? Shreya, I would tell you also that it's the same thing. If the client asks for a sample, then you get paid for it. Then you treat it like a normal article and you follow the process that I've given you. That's it. I want to write an article and I'm a fresher. They asked me to send them some article. Dimple, you should definitely write some articles that you think you really want to talk about. Any topics that you prefer. You can write about yourself. You can write some listicle articles. Those are pretty convenient to work with. And just these are just to give the client an idea of how you write. So if it's a sample, I'm assuming you're a complete fresh, you've never written something, so you definitely need to write something so the client can assess how you write, or people can decide whether they want to hire you. So pick any topic, refer to my other videos, and then work on something. Please share about the tools you use to write up. Preeti, I use simple tools like a Google Doc, a Google Sheet if needed, Google search for research, as I mentioned, and that's it. I don't complicate things. I keep it very simple as much as possible, and that's all there is. How to stay within the word limit even when the subject is vast? Karthik, this is something I answered in my live, and I think if you really want to, if the subject is vast, again, that's why you need to create an outline, because if it's so vast and you don't even know what you're going to talk about, then it's confusing, and then you will end up with some article that doesn't flow properly, doesn't make sense. So if there is a word limit, so you have to decide what main things do you want to talk about, what's the most important for this article, and go with that. So again, get approval on the outline, because that will help you understand the word count. Another thing you could do while creating the outline, Karthik, is you can, in the bracket, you can mention how many words approximately you're aiming for each of the topics. So like you're saying intro, say 50 words maybe, and then you have 3 points, 100 words each, and then you have the conclusion, 200 words. So you have like a 500 word article or something right there. So you can do that as well. Okay. Now, I don't know why I feel like I'm out of breath while talking. Okay. I'm glad so many of you found this insightful. Thank you for watching. Yes, this will be saved. Everyone, I don't know why you asked me if this will be saved. It'll always be saved unless Instagram decides not to let me save it. I will always save my lives. Could you just share a sample of the outline? Surana, I have recommended to check the outline that I share every day of my lives, of my live videos. I always share 3 points. So that's basically an outline, and I would refer you to that. Sargi is saying, some suggest creating a form for the client to get a good brief. Do you agree? I do not agree. I think it complicates things unnecessarily, and the client does not want to sit there filling in a form. It makes it very impersonal, and it just makes it vague, I think. Because every client requires something different, and if I have 15 different questions and the client just requires 5, he or she will unnecessarily have to think about those 10 extra things and then probably even decide to include them. So why complicate it? Just do what the client wants you to do, and don't give them extra ideas and make it confusing for them. Don't put them in that decision making puzzle. Just make it simple for them. Meera is asking a very good question. How do you deal with difference of opinion? For example, if there's a paragraph that you think is important in the blog, but the client thinks otherwise. So what you can do in that case is you can either crop it down, ask the client why do they not want it, Meera. You can ask them why. If there's a particular reason they don't like the way it's written or something, you can edit it. You also should explain why it's important, how it connects with the rest of it. That's good enough. Or you can just cut it down. Maybe it's a paragraph, but the client doesn't feel it's important, and they know their audience, and maybe it may not be important genuinely. So just cut it down to 2 lines. Or honestly, at some time, like, you give your suggestions, but at some point you have to know that you just have to do what the client says sometimes. So Megha is asking, I don't know, I feel like Megha always asks very interesting questions. Doesn't making an outline first and then article take more time to write the article? No, it doesn't. I mean, just imagine this. You're doing your research, you're putting it down in points, that's it, sorted. And you send it to the client, it's approved, done. And you sit and write the article in 1 hour, 1.5 hours, whatever. Say 2 hours. Say you've spent entirely 4 hours on this thing. But you're done. Like, you're completely done. You have nothing else to do, because then there is no edits required, because you have given the client exactly what they wanted. They had approved everything. So there is no question of spending more time. An outline is just basic. Honestly, I'll tell you this happened just last week. So I have a client, I write them short. I write short blogs for them, like short blog posts, say around 200, 300 words approximately, like really, quick and easy ones. And I write them for like every day for a month. That means like 30 short blog posts in a month. And we had a call recently, and they sent me the 35 topics over email before the call. And we had a call the next day. What I did was, I copied everything to a sheet. I copied the list, and it took me 10 minutes. 10 minutes to write an outline for 30 blog posts. I'm not even kidding. I am very serious right now. It took me 10 minutes to write outlines for 30 blog posts. These are short blog posts, not much to do, but even coming up with the broad idea of what's going to be included, and 3 to 4 points for each, that this is what I'm going to write about. Very brief, like not too much, because this was for a call discussion. This wasn't supposed to be sent for approval, but I could basically plan out 30 blog posts in how much time I did? In 10 minutes. So that's done. And once that's done, it means that now I know exactly what I'm going to write, and every time I pick it up, I'll take probably 15-20 minutes to finish it up. That's it. So just imagine what you can do if you keep practicing it. Adarsh has written continued. I'm trying to find his first question. But Adarsh, I cannot find your first question. You will have to send that to me again. Murtaz Ali is asking, I'm sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. How to write by staying in the word limit? I already answered that previously. Please check that out later. Jeremy is asking, how do you work with a blueprint or rough draft when it comes to social media campaigns? I'm running his Instagram and blog page. For social media campaigns, also it's the same thing, creating a broad outline of what themes it will be, what aspects you're going to focus on, a list of all the post ideas you have, the benefits, what do you think, when do you want to post it, what days, things like that. Just basically a content calendar, but very first very broad, like just considering, say, these are the 3 main things we're going to talk about, and get it approved by the client, and then work on that. Normally, of course, social media has to keep getting revamped. So every week or every 2 weeks, you will need to create new broader themes that you can ask your clients about. Dhruv is asking, share your experience with some crazy client who is on confused what he wants, how he wants, and how do you deal with them. Dhruv, I follow this exact process. That's what I'm saying, guys. You're not listening to me. I am saying that whether the client knows what they want or whether they don't know what they want, you have to do your groundwork. You have to ask questions and you have to get the outline approved. Your job is getting the outline approved, not understanding whether what the client wants. You have to do your bit. Once you decide what you want to include in the article, you send it. When the client looks at it, then they will know whether this is what they want or what they don't want. Talking in the air is not easy, because even I am a client for so many people, even I am a client for so many graphic designers and developers, and I completely understand that I am also in the position because I just don't know anything about developing or designing. So I am blank. If they send me something and they tell me this is what we're going to work with, then I can say, oh, I like this, oh, I don't like this. Without seeing it, I cannot say anything. So you have to understand, you have to put yourself in that position, understand that you have to show options, then the client can decide whether this is what they want or not. So please listen to me. Everything goes away and you have to only send an outline. It's so simple. Please keep it simple, please. Okay. Nidhi is asking, Shreya, last night we wrote an article on LinkedIn on GST compliance to be done this week. I had shared it with one of my past senior. He had doubt on my skills to write. How to handle this situation? Very vague. Doubt on my skills to write. It's very vague. You have to ask him, Nidhi, exactly what he wants. Is the message not coming across right? Is it too long? Is it too short? Is something missing? Is something said too much? What is the issue? Don't make it vague. Follow my third point and get actionable feedback. That's it. Do you think outline of content vary from university to university? I don't know what you're talking about, Prashant, but content, as in if you're talking about essays, then yes, it varies even from person to person. Off topic question. Shania is asking, will you do masters in English or pursue freelancing full time after graduation? I don't know. I'm sorry, I really don't know anything about this. Sarthak is asking, suggest how we can automatically generate a genuine article. Is it possible? It will be possible very soon, but for now, just enjoy your process. I mean, just enjoy the process of writing. Guys, how many questions are there? How to know which keywords are trending? Which tools can we use for keyword research? I don't really use tools. I think SEM Rush is meant for keywords. I don't know. But I don't really use tools because that's not something I do. It's normally from my clients. They send me the keywords. Can you give me a glance on web development, Roshan? I cannot. I'm not a web developer. I'm sorry. Digital Kumar, do you copy? Oh God, you guys are out of questions. Like, have I answered all your questions and you just don't know what to ask anymore? Do you copy other content? No, I do not. Why would I do that? I'm really amused by your question, people. Can you do a live on contracts? Jayashri is asking. Yes, I'll do that soon. How can you write unique article? What's your writing strategy? It's making it my own. If you're writing about a particular topic and if you're writing about a particular client, if you're writing about... See, there's a difference in copying and using those resources. If you are using some line or some sort of quote or some... if you're using something from other piece of content, always reference it. If you reference it, you're good to go. Doesn't mean that you can copy the whole content and reference the entirety of it. But the idea is, if you do pick up something, just give a reference that this is where you got it from or this is the source. Cite your sources, make it easy, then it's plagiarism free. And rest, how to write a unique article, I think that's the job of a content writer. So it just happens. Binayak is asking, do you use Grammarly? I don't. Sometimes I do. There was one client who he really, really, really wanted me to use Grammarly. So I did it for the sake of it. But I don't prefer it. Do you have any credible sources that you see yourself going back to for a broad spectrum of topics? Not really. I don't have any specific website for research that I follow. How to improve writing article skill? Can you recommend any YouTube channel for learning? I would recommend you to write a lot. At least write one article every single day. That will really help you. No channel, no video, not even my live will help you improve your writing. I can give you methods on how to make your process easier, to save you time, to make it more efficient, to save you all the years of experimenting and failing and trial and error that I have gone through. That's the only difference. I can make it easier for you, that's all. So write. If you really want to improve writing, write. How to bring humor into article and blog post? Karthik is asking. How to bring humor? It's you can try things like having pun. Well, puns are good, but again, depends on the article itself. You can also add in sarcasm. Again, depends on the reader base. So much of it depends on the reader base, because the readers have to really be able to grasp it, and the topic has to be useful enough that you can actually blend in humor with that. It's actually practice. There's no tactic, I would say. It's just your presence of mind and your creativity, and how much you can laugh at yourself while writing. That's how it'll work out. Can you suggest a platform to create a portfolio? The Cryptic Soul. This is not about portfolios, but I'll tell you, I use something like Taplink, and I have my own website. So on Taplink, you can just put in as many links as you want of your work. I use that. Roshan is asking, is posting my work on LinkedIn going to guarantee me clients, or what can you suggest for getting my first client? Why are you asking this in this live? I have done a full 40-50 minute live only on getting clients from LinkedIn. So go and watch that. And then you have how to connect with readers and engage them. I usually try to explain things using stories and imagination. What are the other ways? Murtazali, some other ways would be to, it's not just in terms of writing, but even in terms of the presentation. Things like including images, things like the format it's written in, like how, my LinkedIn posts have a lot of short lines. Sometimes they are chunky, sometimes they have short lines and it's a long post. Sometimes it's just 2 lines and that's it. That's the complete post. So even that matters. It kind of engages people in the layout itself. And that's something that you can actually apply to articles as well, opening with just a few lines and then having paragraphs, opening with a paragraph, then having a few lines. So change the visual appeal of the article also. Binayak is asking, how much time does it take for a good writer to research and write 1,000 words? You cannot make it about time. Again, this is a question I'm getting so often, that how much time it takes me. Too much time to write, too much time to edit. It'll move with time, first of all, and second, there's no perfect amount of time you can say, because every writer is different. Every person's time and experience and skills are different, and the topic itself is different. Maybe I can write an article on the Tupperware in 5 minutes, but if I have to write about this pen, then maybe I'll take 3 hours, things like that. So that also matters. So don't think too much about the time. Just make sure that you are reducing your own time, as in how you keep working. That's all. Basabi is asking, do you use headline analyzer? No, I don't. I prefer to write what I like. Saurabh is asking, what is script writing in agency model? Any idea? No. I can guess what script writing is. Agency model, I don't understand what you mean by that. And this live is not for that. So I'm sorry. So if that's all, that was a lot of questions. A lot of interesting questions, a lot of weird ones as well. Thank you for sharing those with me and being a part of this weird Q&A session today. So I hope this helped you out. I hope, I hope that you will use this method and steal it all you want, do whatever. And the most important thing, I think, a takeaway from this entire life should be that you have to kind of find your own process of working based on your experiences. So I created this method for a reason. I created this method because it was necessary for me, and because I saw that issue in something and that I thought that this is how I can solve it. So you need to create your own methods for every single thing. I mean everything that I'm talking about in all of my lives. You need to experiment. You need to create your own methods based on your experiences and your struggles. So put an effort, be an innovator in this sense. Don't be just a writer, be an innovator. Think more and think beyond what you're already working with. Don't run behind apps. Don't think that tools are going to make it better, apps are going to make it better. Make it simple. Make it even more simple as you can for yourself, for your clients, and for everyone else. So that's all. And Abhishek, you can watch this live. It'll be saved on my IGTV. So that's all for today. And if there's any questions, of course, you can DM me. And please comment your feedback later on once this live is saved. And once again, I just want to share that I have my ebook coming out soon. I'm just almost done putting it together. Really excited about it. I'm doing a lot of quirky things with it, and I really hope you like it. There's a lot of time and effort and a lot of generally a lot of excitement going into it. So do check it out, and I will share the details soon. And that's all for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I think I will have a new live on Saturday. And Jayashree is asking a very good question. What is the ebook about? I'm going to tell that soon, very soon. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, and take care, and bye-bye.